this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. We could get weather interruptions, it's threatening, we shall see, might get away with it. Hard times with watching the osprey nest yesterday. One of the newly hatched chicks, only 8 hours old, got trodden on and died at one of the nests, leaving them just one and an egg that should hatch later today. So hopefully they can rear those two, and they will probably do a better job of rearing two than they would three, because when you get adverse weather and they can't fish, the food is limited, and when the food is limited, they'll often ignore the weaker chick, which is usually the last one to hatch, and just let it die for the sake of the others. So hard times there. And at the other nest, the male has gone missing. So there was no sign of him, and therefore no food. And the female was being attacked by two, either crows or ravens. Black trash. I hate the thing. Noisy, horrible, marauding, murdering, ganging up, thieving robbers is how I see them. That's magpies, crows, ravens. Don't count jays and I don't count rooks. They just seem to keep themselves to themselves and go about their business. I mean, jays will take eggs and chicks, but they don't make their living out of stealing, if you see what I mean. Which certainly the crows and the magpies just go for the easy option all the time. Instead of working for their food, they just steal. So that's their way. And I can't stand them. They all make horrible noises as well. Not one of them makes a nice noise. And jackdaws, come to think of it, horrible noise. Go around in gangs, ganging up on the smaller birds. Yeah. Anyway, that was yesterday. The male that went missing has turned up today, but without any food. So the little tiny chicks that have only just hatched haven't had any food probably for 36, maybe more hours, and they will starve quite quickly. And the female hasn't had any food either, because she relies on the male to bring the food in. So hard times viewing over there. I mean, it's nature just doing its thing. That's how it is. But difficult watching. Anyway, here's a little story for you. It could be coincidence, it could be paranoia, but I've got a horrible feeling that I've been subject to a vindictive judge. My Ergoglossom up here, very large plant, in full bloom, probably 50 plus blooms, and took a nice picture of it, which I showed you, that's been in the video. Went into the competition. Now, one of the judges has got computer issues, which means he can't judge this time round, because obviously he hasn't got the email facility and that sort of stuff. You can't mess about on the phone, you need to do it properly. So we're down to 3, and 2 of the judges awarded their maximum mark to my plant, and the other one awarded their minimum number of points for my plant. It's the same plant. Am I bothered? It's just a silly competition at the end of the day. When we get down to the real competitive stuff and we take our plants in, the judges work together, and one wouldn't be allowed to do that. They can only get away with it now while it's email, see? It'll be remembered though. Anyway, what I thought I'd do today is carry on where I left off. Last week on the Sunday chat we had a look at the big Oncidium types. And because there's a lot of Oncidiums, it's impossible to do a video doing an update on all of them. So I thought by splitting them into big ones and little ones, it splits them in 2, which is quite a nice idea. So I'm going to go round where I left off, and there might be an odd repeat that I pick up again that I picked up last time, because I didn't memorise what I did last time, but I'm just going for the smaller ones. Now, some of these are rescues. That's not why they're small, necessarily. It could be in some cases. So we'll start up here with this one. Now this one has been being rescued for years. Not mucking about. This has been being rescued for years. It's an Alisara that I got a very long time ago. It has blooms that I really like, and I would suggest it's going to do okay now. It's got a nice new growth coming up the back of the plant, sort of there. Nice new growth here, another one here, and another one up here. And you can see that in places we've got new roots coming now. And its existing root system isn't that bad anyway. So I think that one's made it now. I only struggled with this because I really like the blooms. They're such an unusual colour. Obviously pop-ups, names and pop-ups of those that have bloomed for me. If they haven't, you can't have a picture, can you? Right, this one has got no tag and I don't know what it is. It's a twinkle, but I don't know which one. I've got a feeling it's the yellow one. This little setup here are going to need a spray soon. There's a few little white dots in places, so catch them before they get a hold. Probably means there's a scale breakout due. Anyway, I think that's the yellow twinkle. But again, we've got a new growth here and a new growth here. Those will mature and bloom, so we will get blooms on that one later in the year. Ugh. Now this one is a total unknown. This came from Jeff's in a bit of a sad state, but I thought it was worth the risk. And I mean, this one is pulling on nicely now. We've got a nice new growth at the back here, two here. Is that it? I thought there was another one somewhere. Anyway, three new growths pushing on, and we've got an outbreak of roots coming down through the moss now. So whatever it is, it's made it. And given that the older bulbs are not totally desiccated, they're a bit wrinkled, but they're not desiccated, chances are it's going to bloom on one of those growths. Now, I think that's the sort of size it's always going to be. I don't think that's going to grow much bigger as far as the bulbs and leaves are concerned. Number of will obviously increase. So we may find out what that is when it blooms, or if it blooms. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't bloom. Right, now that's another twinkle. What the hell is that one? Again, white dots in places. It's not bad, but I need to get at it. They will only get worse. They don't ever disappear on their own, do they? They usually need some help with extreme prejudice. Anyway, this, I'm not quite sure what this one is. This could be the cinnamon one, I'm not sure. I just can't remember. But again, we've got new growths coming. In fact, we've only got one. Oh no, there's a second one round here. The little one there, and then this one here. So again, we will get some blooms on there. And this autumn, when we get round to twinkle time again, I'll get labels on them. And then we've got this one. This was one of the first ones that I put on live, what I call tree moss, rather than, I did try the live sphagnum that I'd collected, and that didn't work very well for me. So obviously the type of sphagnum that I could get, it just doesn't work very well, whereas there are some types that work incredibly well, but I didn't get that one. Now this one has got new growths coming. We've got one here, one in the middle of the plant there, one round the side here, and that's about it. I'd have thought that plant had a few more. It's got plenty of time to grow more, but this one doesn't seem to have an active root system. It had roots when it was mounted, but I don't see white roots down in this moss, but they should start now that we've got new growths, so we should get some more roots on there. Again, it's a twinkle, but I've forgotten which one. So that's everything up there. Let me just put this lot back because I need places to put things down, if you see what I mean. So I don't want to clutter the place up too much with one lot. I'll just pop those back up there. Right. Moving round, we move to this one. Now this was mounted when I got it, so this is not my mount. And this is the strange thing, the Mexicoa Gisbretiana, or something like that. You read it for yourself. Now this one has is pushing out growths and roots. This one's coming on quite nicely. We've got a new growth back here, and then we've got another nice one here, and another relatively new one here. So this has got 3 new growths, and for a plant with so few bulbs, that's not bad going. And that's going to more than double its leaf mass, because quite a few of the bulbs on here are leafless. And it's growing roots. We've got active roots all over the place, some of which are aerial, some are getting into the moss, some are going up the back of the mount. So quite happy with that one. That one's coming on nicely. I'd like to see some blooms on that because they are unusual. And then up the end here, the last one on out of this lot, is the tiny twinkle. Spot the problem on that plant. Can you see it? Flipping great slug. And that's quite a large one. Now that's obviously gone to rest there because I don't see any damage on this plant, so the damage is going to be on one of the other plants nearby, I suspect, which I may find later. Let me just deal with that. Don't want that escaping, can we? That's that dealt with. I haven't found one that size for a very long time. That's capable of doing a lot of damage when they get that big in here. Now, I don't get many. Anyway, this is Tiny Twinkle. This one's always grown well for me, and this has got new growth coming out all over the place, same as it did last year. I'm not counting them as too many, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's the damage the slug's done, or some of it. See there, look, leaves chewed. So it did get on this plant, but it won't get on any more, will it? Anyway, quite a few new growths on this one. This one always grows well. It's at the stage now where some of the older leaves are starting to yellow and fall off, replaced by the bright shiny green ones. It always does okay, that one. It always blooms well. And out of the twinkles, the blooms last a reasonable amount of time. So that's that one. Right, coming round, we did all those. We did all those. I'm not going to do Derek's plants, and I'm not going to do the Tolumnias. The Tolumnias, there's enough of them to warrant a separate update. So we'll miss the Tolumnias. There aren't any more up here, are there? Yes, there are. There's that one. And that is the one that there were quite a lot of that other people had that were in a bit of a state. They virtually got given away. It's the Red Fantasy. Now this one here this is 2 plants. it's staggered, one above the other. The idea is they'll grow into each other, but the top one's got 3 new growths, one at the end, one there and one there, and the bottom one's got 2. And a couple of white dots. Yeah, I'm going to have a go at the lot, I think. This one's coming on. The existing pseudobulbs are so badly desiccated, I don't know whether I can show it on the camera, they are wafer thin. They have no substance at all. They've completely desiccated to nothing, but in the main have kept their leaves. So it's still capable of feeding itself through those leaves. Right, so that's a bit high up for that one really, it's a bit too near the roof, a bit bright, but the leaves are staying a reasonable colour, so it can stay there for now. Right, turning around here, nothing on that shelf. Oh, I know what I believe that I actually missed the Rossio Glossum out in last week's Look at the Big Ones. So we'll have one big one this week. Oh, now this, when I got it, was a brilliant plant. And then it started its new roots, so we repotted it. And a slug, or slugs, got at it and chewed all the new roots off. So it's now dependent on the old root system, that was very, very poor. So as a consequence, the bulbs are desiccating. The leaves are hanging in there, they're not a problem. But what we've got now is new stuff growing. So down there's a growth. There's another one here. I thought there was 3. 1, 2, possibly only 2. But we have something new growing. Now I don't know what they are. I assume they're going to be new growths rather than spikes. This plant's a bit weak to bloom. I need roots to grow on this. I really do. That was really sad when that new root system was just taken off, leaving it not very well supported at all. Anyway, it's not dying, it will recover, slowly but surely. So that was the little one, down there. No little ones up there. There are quite a few little ones there that I'll do in a minute, and some there, nothing up there. Right, down on this shelf there are 2. These 2 live down here in the shadiest, one of the shadiest places and one of the cooler places. Now this is an Odontoglossum and it's Golden Rialto. It's been struggling a very long time. Its latest new growth is not bad, but it's nowhere near the size it should be. These bulbs should be bigger than this, but this is what we've got now. We've got roots. So this one's going to make it now. You know, I've got no problem with this now. With these number of roots and some still across the top to get down, that's going to make it. So I'm pleased about that. That would probably not be replaceable. It came from McBean's, which I don't believe exists anymore. But what seems to have happened is that a new foundation has been started that has kept Jim, what's his name? Jim Durrant, I think his name is, from McBean's, one of the main guys who's been there like 40 years and knows everything you could ever know about Odontoglossums and Oncidiums. And he seems to be the main guy, or one of the main guys, at this new foundation. Now this is working like the Eric Young Foundation, yeah? So it's not a retail outlet as such. So I don't quite know what the setup is. Can you buy plants for them? But that's where it came from. It's one of theirs, I believe. One of their own, and I love it. So I didn't want to lose that. The other one that came from McBean's that has been struggling, and honestly still is the crispum, Odontoglossum crispum, which is now something entirely different. And latest growth on this, not brilliant, but coming on, and it's now producing some roots late. You know, this has got its leaves. It's only just starting to produce its roots. So this, I would class, is still in quite a state of rescue. This is not recovered by any means, but it's not dead, and it looks like it could recover on the next new growth. So it's got to hang in there. It's got to keep this growth hopefully growing a bit bigger. So I've just spotted scale on this one too. The worst place to get scale is on a weak plant. You know, they will just drain it. So we'll have to deal with that one. They're only in one place, so but they will expand their territory and get down in the crevices of all. Sorry, I've just seen a couple that I'm manually removing with my fingernail. You just won't do it while I can see them. So that one I'm hoping is going to make it. Again, that came from McBean's and would be very difficult to replace. Very difficult. So that's the 2 on there. There's one on this shelf, which is in the shade at the moment because again it's recovering. And this is my Nellie Isla. This is the red velvet. Lousy root system as usual with Nellie Islas. It is pushing up a new growth, and I suspect it should produce some roots, but it hasn't yet. So it's still got its leaves on the existing plant. The last bulb hasn't completely desiccated, but it's not growing what I would call going, you know, oomph, getting going. It does have a growth, and it probably will produce some roots soon. But again, a recovery. That was the one that had two different Nelly Islas in the same pot. Somebody else had the other one. And that was even worse than this one, I think. I did say it wasn't a good plant. Right, now we'll come round to here. Right, what have we got down here then? What we've got down here is, it's not a Cymbidium, get that out of the way. Coffee's getting cold. Quite cold. And what we have here is an unknown. This was in the last batch of repotting. It was one of those. So it was unknown then, and obviously it still is. It was just something that was put to rescue in a pot, and you know, it was showing signs of some roots. So I thought we'll get it in some proper media where it can stay for a while. So you know, coming on, new growth growing, but no decent roots yet. I don't know what the hell this one is. This is a similar one, I think, with no ID. Yeah, this is another one of the ones that we repotted recently. It's got a little new growth. It needs to get a better root system. It has got some roots. It has got some active root tips. So it will come on. That will get there. And then we've got one here, which is recovered, but it took a while. And this is a Miltonia Summer Glory. Now, this was a present some time ago, and it really objected to being repotted. But it's got a new growth now with a massive new roots at the base. That's fine. This growth over here hasn't produced a load of roots. That's a previous growth. It does have a little new growth at the base, but it doesn't seem to be as though it's going to grow. It may stall, which means it might have to produce another one. But it's a typical double lead, you know, that is heading towards the edge of the pot. But we do have some roots going on now. We've got some root activity down into the pot from this new growth, so that's going to make it. That will be fine. Right, anything else on that shelf? No. Right, let's get that little lot out of the way. Let's go round tomorrow and find all of those plants that were in that repotting session and water them again. They can't stay on the regular watering cycle because the media is new and it just dries out so quickly. You might have to spray the whole flipping place. That's got scale on it as well. Although they do appear to be dead. They're just brushing off. Whatever. That's collagenate, that one, so not a... Right, what have we got then? Again, we're coming round to ones that were in that repotting session to a degree. I don't know what that is. Got a feeling. Well, it's been recently repotted, so it was in that repotting session. It hasn't got a tag. I wonder if that was one of Derek's. But anyway, we've got new growths coming and a recent repot, so we've already chatted about that, and you've seen what the roots were like and the fact that it's been repotted. So I think that should come on reasonably well. What else we got on that shelf? Another one of the repots. Oh, this is a this is Sologeny. Has a look about it. And the Soto Annum we looked at with the big one. So that's it on that shelf. That's that done. Now we get to the hard bit, because all the others are at the back of a shelf that's got big plants at the front of the shelf. So the big plants have got to be got out of the way to get at the small ones, which is not normally a problem when I'm watering, of course. Right, that's dead. Let me just have a quick look at the time on here. 24. That's not too bad. Right, these two I can get at. Ugh. Now this one was repotted a while ago from a rescue state in a moss pot. This is Miltonia Sunset, and it's rescued. Basically, when you see a root system like that, it's rescued. It now does not have a worry. Just having a look to see what state the growths are in. I think the existing growths are maturing. That's the state it's in. So like this is a maturing growth. It's done its roots. Again, round here, a maturing growth that's done its roots. So yeah, I mean that's recovered and is highly likely to bloom well on the next set of growths because it's got the backup of a decent root system. Yeah, although these latest two growths are not as big as they should be, the growths behind are still attached and still have leaves. So that will be a reasonable blooming next time round, that one. Right, next one. Come out. God knows what that is. Oh, right. This says on the label that it's Miltonia Summer Breeze, with a question mark on the end of it because I'm really not sure. Now this is in a state. This just does not want to grow. It does have a new growth here that's had a minimal slug attack just on the edge there. We won't worry too much about that. It's had a nick from a slug. But this growth is not pushing on. The leaves are not pushing on and opening out. It just seems to have stalled at that stage. So I don't know what this one's going to do. This growth over here is quite small and hasn't started another one yet, but it may well do. That could well be the next place for new growth decides to grow. So in a bit of a state, that one. Not very good at all. Right, let's get that. Get those back where they go. And then I've got to get these bigger plants out of the way, which we looked at as part of the big ones, so we don't have to look at them again. Oh, well, we can have a look at that one. First bloom's opened. That's the Odontoglossum naeviem. We've got our first bloom open. Yay! That's tiny. That should be bigger than that. Quite a bit bigger. But this was one of Jeff's in a hell of a state with no roots. Lots of little pieces all bundled up and tied together and chucked in a pot to see if they would grow. So it's very, very weak, incredibly weak. And strictly speaking, I should take that bloom spike off and the other one. It's not strong enough. Right, if I get this one out of the way, I think we can get at these four along the back. It's quite funny, these are falling off. Just like rain. And there's lots of them on the floor, and I'm hoping that by this time next week most of this will be on the floor as well. I've never looked forward to a haircut. I don't like having my hair cut, but I don't like it like this. It's in my way. You know, if I walk out here when the fans are on, it blows in behind my glasses, straight in my eyes. It gets in the way, it gets in my collar. It really is. It's a nuisance. Yeah, but as I said, soon it'll be gone. Providing nothing goes wrong between now and next weekend. Right, what have we got here? Right, so what we've got here is a not repotted yet plant. Now this was from the guy at Wessex that died, that somebody put to one side for me because they knew that I liked this type of plant, and it was in bloom when I got it. Which is how they knew it was one of like the ones I like. Now, this has actually got a name. It's Miltonia William Kirsch Country Garden. And it's got a new growth coming down in there. So I thought I'd seen a slug trail for a minute then. You see one, chase it. Well, I think we're okay. And this growth here has got some new roots coming. Now this is in cocoa husk, but it's not mine. I don't know whether it was cleaned properly. I don't know how long this plant's been in it, so I still will repot it. And I'll be doing that very soon, looking at those roots. So that's that one. Ugh. Ugh. Well, this one escaped from Burnham's last time I was in there. Cherophorum. and it's okay. It hasn't been repotted because it's a Burnham's repot that actually looks quite good, and I can see lots of roots in the pot, and I may have gone past the point anyway, so I might have to wait because this new growth is pushing on, and so is this one. This one's even starting to swell and show its bulb, so I might have to wait on this one, but I don't mind waiting on it because it's in Burnham's bark, which is pretty good stuff. Along with Burnham's weeds and ferns and stuff. Anyway, so that's that one. That was in bloom when I got it, and it hasn't bloomed since, but it's highly likely to bloom on the two new growths that are pushing on. Can't guarantee it. It's had a change of environment, but it should. There's no reason why it shouldn't. It should bloom. Right, that's that one. Two to go. And what have we got here? What we've got here, this one came from Lynn. It was one of those, you grow Miltonias, don't you? Here you are, at one of the meetings. And I do, and thank you very much. But this is a Miltonia, this is a primary cross. It's sort of, it's difficult to say. When you get a naturally occurring hybrid, it's already a cross. That naturally occurring hybrid is a primary cross at that point, and that's then been crossed with another species. So this has got 3 species in it. So technically it's not a primary cross anymore. Anyway, it's Miltonia candida, and it's crossed with Benottii, which is a naturally occurring hybrid. So there's a bit of a go on this. Now this wasn't a strong plant, and it bloomed, which has weakened it a little bit, but not enough to set it back. The latest growth is pushing roots out, so it's getting a good root system going now, and this growth will mature okay. Whether it will bloom or not this time round, I don't know. Again, you know, when you disturb them and repot them, there's always a bit of setback, isn't there? So that's that one. And the last one, right up in the corner, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this one. The reason I'm not sure what I want to do with it is because it won't grow. Now this is a Hamiltonara, and the only reason it's still here is because of the blooms, which you will see. But it's an unnamed hybrid. Let me just get it out of the black pot and see if we've actually got any roots. I don't think we have. It just won't grow. It had a new growth that aborted, and then started another one, which is not maturing. So this is a new growth. Look at the sheer number of leaves on it, and they haven't expanded. It's been like that for some time now. There is a sort of bulb in the middle of there, I think, but what it's doing now is producing another new growth. It's having another go. But it's got some roots. It's not like it's rootless. This is these roots that it's got came from this growth, but it's not growing properly. So there could be a fundamental issue with that one. But we'll see what happens with the next new growth. But I was pleased when I got this new growth, having the previous one just aborted, it just shriveled. And then this one pushed out, and I thought, oh, it looks like it's going to make it. And then it got to that size and stopped, and that's not right. That's not what it should look like. I doubt if it's going to bloom either. There's so many leaf creases to see if it has got a spike. I don't think it will, quite honestly. But having produced some roots to go with that growth, maybe the next one will perform. Maybe the next one will push up to a proper size, open its leaves properly, and produce some more roots, at which point it may bloom. So yeah, I've had that one some time, and it has bloomed. I think it's bloomed a couple of times. It's been around a while, but it's not growing properly now, which always makes me think, is there something fundamentally wrong with it that warrants it getting chucked in the bin? But we're not chucking it in the bin just yet. Mainly because it's not in my way. I'm happy to give plants time when they're not in my way. which after my clear out, there's very little in my way at the moment, honestly. This Cymbidium's in the way, because it's on the floor. I could lift it up, I suppose. It is, I mean, its new growth is pushing on okay, but again, it's only got one. It's only got one new growth, which probably means it'll only have one spike again, but it's staying in this year, and it's not going to go out. You know, we got white fluffy bits on this one too. Need to get at that. Yeah, they're down inside the leaf sheaths, so we'll have to give that a go. Yeah, there's loads. So we need to do that one. We need to do that one now. Ugh. This is a problem when you've got scale in the fluffy stage, as I call it. It's very easy for them to be on a plant that's up, you know, up high, and they just lose their grip and fall down. And if there's another plant below, they've just spread to another plant. Scale can move from one plant to another, but a lot of the time they just don't. If they're happy on the plant they've got and they can feed, they don't bother moving. So you treat that plant and you should be okay. But you can, I mean, I share water to a degree. I could pour water over a plant and wash some down into the water, and if they haven't drowned they could then get poured into the next plant. It's possible. It's the least likely way they spread, let's put it that way. Yeah. Okay, right, I'm out of coffee. This is our bad. Oh, I also wanted to say, I had a think, basically. My idea of going to Burnham's this coming week, I'm not going to, simply because Hannah's coming down this coming weekend. If I go to Burnham's, I'm putting myself in an element of risk. Okay, it's a minor risk. I've had both my jabs, and people will be social distancing, but if I don't go, there's no risk. If I do go, there is an element of risk, albeit a little bit, when I can just leave it and go the following week. So that it's not me I'm worried about, you know, it's potentially passing it on to Hannah, which would be very, very serious. So I've just decided to put it off for a week, because it doesn't matter. You know, I'm not in a rush to get there. All I'm going for is a few bits and bobs. I'm going to try and escape with a couple of species zygos if I can. But they're in the private section, so I don't know whether that will be allowed or not. I can only ask, can't I? And I need to discuss the coach trip, which is that does need sorting out. But yeah, the coach trip could be stopped. I mean, it's in the middle of August, or just past the middle of August. Our rules and regulations are supposed to be all lifted in June, and this is in August. Well, if they aren't lifted in June, how long will the next date be before they have another go at lifting them? And if there's a good reason why they didn't lift them, maybe they just won't. So we could end up not having a coach trip. So we shall see. But if that date is jeopardised, the first thing that will go will be the garden party, which is in July. And as a matter of interest, I think it's about 4 weeks to Midsummer's Day. Is somebody have a chat with the weather? Midsummer's Day, you know, not even close. There were places around here had a frost this morning. Well into May here. So the weather is just being very strange at the moment. Anyway, coffee's out now, so that's a look at that. Really has done all the rest of the Oncidiums. We did the Miltoniopsis as a separate thing not that long ago. So the only Oncidium types we haven't done is the Tolumnias, which, as I said, they can warrant a video on their own. Not a big long one like a Sunday Chat one, but you know, a Tolumnia update is a video that quite a few people would like, I'm sure. I get asked about Tolumnias quite often. So we'll have a good go at them and a chat about requirements and all that sort of stuff. I need to get a spray on that Cymbidium. Leave it in the middle of the floor where I'm going to trip over it, perhaps I won't forget. And I need to have a think about spraying. See, I've got a ready mix spray of the same stuff that I've also got the concentrate for. The ready mix stuff I use as a spot treatment because it's a contact killer as well as a systemic. So if I see a little outbreak on a plant, I can just spray that bit and I've done with it. But if I'm going to do multiple plants and give quite a few plants a proper spray, a good soak in other words, I need to mix some up because it's a lot cheaper to do it that way, obviously, by using the concentrate. So I think we might need to do that. But again, we haven't had the sun. What happens with the kit here is there's the one big fan that was a circulating fan, now it's not, because it doesn't anymore. So that one just stays on 24/7, except when I'm filming. And then the one above it that does oscillate is actually connected up to the heater. So the thermostat in the evening, you know, sort of 6:30, 7 o'clock, gets brought down to 16 degrees now, not 15, I only go down to 16. So that if the temperature drops below that, the heater will come on during the night and that big circulating fan comes on at the same time. And that wafts the heat around and stops any plants heating up, or there's no hot or cold spots, it circulates that air around on top of what's already happening. And then in the morning at about 8 o'clock, I come in and reset the thermostat to 21. Now that's my daytime temperature, at which point the heater and the circulating fan will come on and bring it up to 21 and then keep it there. But as the day goes on, the ambient temperature in here gets higher than that. So these two aren't being used. Now if we get a sunnier day, obviously the temperature is going to start to climb. At which point I will set the thermostat to 45. Yeah, in other words, I want the kit to stay on all the time and I'll turn the heater off. So that way I introduce this big circulating fan permanently until I reset that thermostat again. So on a warmer day, the big circulating fan and the other fan will be on. And if it starts getting quite warm, then we up we go up through the settings from stage 1 to gale force and up to hurricane force. And then if it really gets warm, obviously the extractor and the inlet fan kick on, which changes the air, and that fires up hurricane nectar to replace the humidity. So and we haven't had a day like that for some considerable time. This humidifier hasn't actually kicked in for a long time, over a week. We just haven't had the sun. And when we have it, it's in a short burst. So it raises the temperature like 3 or 4 degrees, but then it goes behind clouds and it stays there and then slowly drops back a bit. So anyway, so that's how I manage the fans, the heater and the settings. So I mean, at some point it would be logical to disconnect the heater and just take it out. It's no longer required. But why? It's not doing any harm. I mean, I do catch my foot on it now and again, but I've got used to where it is now and it's not doing any harm. Now if I set my minimum temperature at night to 16 and the temperature doesn't drop down that far, then it's not going to come on, if you see what I mean. It's only going to come on if it's necessary, and you know, you can get a cold snap even in August, you know, so it would be there in case. So I'm just going to leave it connected up, I think, and not worry about it. Anyway, that'll do for today, and I'll see you next time. So we've got a few things for a couple of thanks for all the congratulations and all that sort of stuff to do with my 6th anniversary. Boy, did that take me a long time to go through those comments, but it's appreciated. And what was nice for me first thing in the morning, in my dressing gown with my coffee, is the names. Lots of names came up on that video that I haven't seen for some considerable time, which is nice because it means those people are still around. You know, that I like that. That's nice. Anyway, thanks for all the congratulations and that sort of stuff. It's appreciated. And I don't think we've got anything. We're not going to get any big subscriber celebrations, not for some considerable time now. Once you get above 10,000, it's all a bit much of a... I don't even look. I think we're up to about 11.5 or somewhere around that. But the rate of climb on the subscribers has actually slowed up quite a bit, whereas I was expecting it to increase after 10k, but doesn't seem to have at the moment. But you never know, it just floats along. It's not like it's going backwards. Anyway, so thanks for all that, and thanks for staying with the channel. It is appreciated, because 6 years for a channel. I mean, I've known channels that have not even lasted 6 months. People have just got fed up, and they don't ever make any more videos. So I sort of stuck with it at first, which was difficult. It wasn't as difficult in those days as it is now, though, because there's just so many more orchid channels nowadays. So trying to fire off a new one in amongst all of those is very difficult. If you just do a YouTube search looking for some orchid channels, you just put in orchid care, and search YouTube, you get past 40 or 50 of Danny's videos, and then you get on to the others. And there will be some others that come up quite frequently because they're quite high subscriber counts. And then you'll get to those that are relatively new channels. And you've already gone through 10, 15 pages of YouTube stuff to get to that point. Yeah? And then you've got to have a look and see if you actually like their style or their content or anything. It's hard work trying to find the new channels, it really is. Anyway, that's by the by. So I will see you next time. We've got a couple of ideas came in amongst those comments on that video, which I will turn, they were like question type things or suggestions that I can genuinely turn into a usable video. So thanks for those. And as I said, we'll have a look at the Tulumnias this week sometime. And we won't be going to Burnham's until the following week. So not too long to wait. I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.